If you think the Golden Age was a crazy time in the history of Hollywood, you have certainly not heard about the dark side of the silent era. This era birthed some of the most shocking scandals ever recorded in the history of Hollywood. From betrayals to unresolved murders, revenge, and everything in between, these scandals of the silent film era will leave you astounded. Olive Thomas, the sting of betrayal. She had the face of an angel and the guts of a lion, but nothing could have prepared the world for what fate had in store for this silent era actress. Although she is remembered today as one of the young actresses who colored the silent era with unforgettable movies, she became immortalized not only for her talent, but for the shocking scandal that marked her tragic end. Before death came knocking, this was how her story began. Born Oliva R. Duffy, this young girl grew up in the gritty streets of Charleroi, Pennsylvania. Right from an early age, her world was colored by poverty and tragedy. Death visited her family when she was a teenager as her father passed away, leaving her family in dire straits. Olive, at just 15, had to bid farewell to her school days and take on the weight of responsibility to support her grieving mother and two younger brothers. With little choice, Olive found herself in the bustling aisles of Joseph Horne's department store in Pittsburgh, earning a meager $2.75 a week selling gingham. Can you picture it? A teenage girl thrust into the harsh reality of adulthood, her dreams overshadowed by the daily struggle to make ends meet. At 16, Olive decided to make a bold move to marry Bernard Krug Thomas with the hopes of building a family and having support. But soon after, she fled to New York, leaving behind her husband. She had realized that her life was heading in a different direction, and she didn't want to let the marriage stop her from pursuing her goals. As expected, New York was a whirlwind for Olive, but one thing was true: she was determined to create a better life for herself and her family. Fate smiled at her when she won the Most Beautiful Girl in New York contest, and this was just the beginning of her exploits. She was finally enjoying the life she once desired, or was she? Soon, she found herself amidst the glittering lights of Broadway, a member of the famed Ziegfeld Follies. But Olive hungered for more. In 1916, she made her silver screen debut, captivating audiences with beauty and talent. Everything seemed to be going perfectly, and falling in love with Jack Pickford brother to silent film queen Mary Pickford made her life even more beautiful. But she had no idea that this newfound love would literally be the end of her. After they got married, their love story took a tragic turn. It was said that their marriage was fraught with passion and turbulence and mirrored the intensity of Hollywood itself. It was said that the love of her life, Jack Pickford, cheated on her often and even contracted syphilis in the process. The couple would later go on a second honeymoon in hopes to mend their broken marriage, but all efforts proved futile. It was rumored that a doctor later prescribed mercury bichloride to help Jack treat his infection, and Olive allegedly ingested this substance, not knowing what it truly was. After that fatal mistake, she began fighting for her life, but sadly, she drew her last breath a few days later in the American Hospital of Paris, Neuilly-sur-Seine, France, at the age of 25. Can you imagine the shock that reverberated through the silent era's corridors? The press feasted on the scandal, speculating about Olive's untimely demise. Was it suicide, drug addiction, or something far more sinister? Her death was ruled to be an accident, but no one truly knows if her death was an accident or an intentional act to end the life of a promising star. Till today, her death remains one of the silent era's greatest tragedies and scandals. Wallace Reed, A Deadly Prescription. He was an on-screen god, popularly referred to as the screen's most perfect lover, but there was nothing perfect about his life behind the scenes. What started off as an innocent quest for fame later turned into a tragedy that the silent era never recovered from. Wallace Reed was not born into the glitz and glamour of Hollywood royalty. No, he was a humble lad from Missouri, with dreams as big as the silver screen itself. His journey into acting was as serendipitous as it was destined. When he took that fateful leap into the world of entertainment, he had no idea what the future held. Perhaps if he knew, he wouldn't have tried pursuing fame. Interestingly, Wallace's rise to stardom was swift and spectacular. With his rugged good looks and undeniable talent, Wallace captivated audiences and filmmakers alike, earning roles in some of the era's most iconic films. But fame came with a price, and Wallace soon found himself caught in the relentless grip of Hollywood's relentless demand for perfection. As his career blossomed, Wallace found himself rubbing shoulders with the giants of the silent film era. Collaborating with early film mogul Alan Duane, he acted and directed with a passion and flair that set him apart from his peers. And when he met and married actress Dorothy Davenport, their union seemed to signal the beginning of a new chapter in his life. With roles in groundbreaking films like The Birth of a Nation and Intolerance, Wallace quickly became one of Hollywood's major heartthrobs. Paired with leading ladies such as Florence Turner, Gloria Swanson, and Lillian Gish, his on-screen charisma and dashing persona drew audiences to theaters in droves. But behind the scenes, Wallace was grappling with his own demons. It was on the set of one such film, during an ill-fated on-location shoot, that Wallace's life took a tragic turn. While he was on his way to a location in Oregon during the filming of the film The Valley of the Giants, Wallace was involved in a deadly train wreck that left him with a terrible injury. He was said to have sustained a scalp wound that was so bad he needed 6 stitches to close the wound. One would have thought that the studio would let him take significant time off to rest and recuperate, but this was not the case. The studio needed him to keep working. So he was prescribed morphine to serve as a pain relief, but as you may know, these kinds of painkillers birth addictions. As the filming demands grew, Wallace began to depend more and more on morphine to keep him agile, but soon enough, it turned into an addiction. Sadly, this phenomenal actor was too far gone. He was unable to quit this dangerous addiction, which later led to his demise. Wallace, the charming actor of the silent era, passed on in a sanatorium while he was on a journey to recovery. He was only 35 years old at the time. One can only imagine how much more he could have achieved if he was given time to heal and recover before resuming work after the accident. His unfortunate death became one of the silent era's greatest losses. Charlie Chaplin, Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. During the silent era, the public idolized Charlie Chaplin. He could do no wrong in their eyes. Perhaps this was why when the scandalous news about his actions emerged, a lot of people didn't believe it. Charlie Chaplin's life, despite his lovable on-screen persona, was steeped in scandal behind closed doors, making it one of the most scandalous tales of the silent era. Let's unpack this. Firstly, this talented actor was accused of being romantically involved with only women who were way younger than him. Many believe that he was a longtime pursuer of younger women, and it wasn't long before people began to notice. It was so bad that when he decided to settle down, he chose to marry women who were significantly younger. At the age of 29, he married 16-year-old Mildred Harris. And then, at 35, he tied the knot with Lita Grey, who was a mere 15 when they got married. That alone raises some serious eyebrows. But it doesn't stop there. His marriage to Grey was shrouded in controversy. People couldn't help but wonder why this man would choose to marry a girl who was over 2 decades younger than him. It seemed like Charlie was willing to do anything in his power to stay married to this girl, despite how people felt about it. To evade potential imprisonment for marrying a minor, Chaplin resorted to hiding their union by fleeing to Mexico, just to dodge those pesky news reporters who might sniff out the scandal. And when Grey's divorce complaint surfaced, rumors circulated about Chaplin's involvement with even younger girls during their marriage. He was branded a pedophile, always dodging consequences. But that's not all. Just when his fans thought they had heard it all, another scandal erupted. The U.S. government accused Chaplin of being anti-American in the 1950s. The FBI had been keeping tabs on him since 1922, suspicious of his possible communist leanings, all because of his portrayal of the tramp character. They even used one of his scenes as evidence against him. Things came to a head in 1952 when he was officially barred from entering the United States after attending the premiere of his film Limelight in London. This forced Chaplin and his family to uproot and settle in Europe, as his wife refused to live in a country that rejected him. So yes, while Chaplin may have been a beloved figure on screen, his off-screen life was rife with scandal, controversy, and accusations that tarnished his legacy in the eyes of many. Some still remember him for his contributions to the silent era, but many people cannot look past his scandalous life. Paul Bern, did he take his own life? When he set out to marry the charming Jean Harlow, it seemed like his life was about to change for the better, but this romance was not as blissful as he thought it would be. Death was lurking around. On the 5th of September 1932, Paul Bern was found lifeless with a note that read, "Dearest dear, unfortunately, this is the only way to make good the frightful wrong I have done you and to wipe out my abject humiliation. I love you. Paul, you understand that last night was only a comedy." Chilling, right? But before we get into what happened on that dark night, let me you a little bit about Paul Bern. Paul Bern was a fascinating figure in Hollywood. He possessed a remarkable intellect that propelled him into the film industry despite leaving school at a young age. Initially starting as a stage actor in New York, he later transitioned to working for a film company in Toronto, Canada, before ultimately making his way to Los Angeles in 1926. Paul was said to be a hard-working and creative man who knew just how to make a film come to life. Despite not fitting the conventional Hollywood image due to his diminutive stature and less than attractive appearance, Bern's sensitive nature and sharp mind earned him respect in the industry, earning him the nickname Hollywood's Father Confessor. But what truly baffled many was his marriage to the stunning Jean Harlow, a rising starlet known for her beauty and allure. At a time when most attractive Hollywood stars were choosing equally attractive stars, Jean Harlow chose none other than Paul Bern. With her iconic bleach blonde hair and daring fashion choices, she became a sensation virtually overnight. Bern, however, managed to capture her heart, facilitating her move to MGM and orchestrating her ascent in the industry. They were said to have fallen in love pretty fast, and their whirlwind romance led to a hastily planned wedding, with reports suggesting that even Harlow didn't wear a traditional wedding dress. However, their marital bliss didn't last very long. Just over 4 months after their union, Bern would meet his tragic end. On September 5th, 1932, Bern was found dead in their Beverly Hills mansion. His body was discovered nude in front of a mirror, drenched in Harlow's favorite perfume, with a gunshot wound to the head. The circumstances surrounding his death were perplexing, with a cryptic suicide note left behind, seemingly implicating Bern in some unknown wrongdoing. From every indication, it looked like he took his own life, but no one knew why. As soon as the news got out, people began to ask questions regarding Bern's demise. Was it truly a suicide, as authorities hastily concluded, or was there something more? The peculiar setup of his death scene, coupled with the rumors of marital discord and financial disagreements, only deepened the mystery. Some people pointed to the tension between Bern and Harlow over their Beverly Hills home as a possible catalyst for his despair. Regardless of the theories, Bern's death remains one of the strangest scandals of the silent era. The Clara Bow scandal. It is nearly impossible to talk about the silent era without mentioning the talented Clara Bow. She was soaring on the wings of fame and building her career when she found herself entangled in one of the biggest scandals of her life. Someone close to her decided to leak personal information about her, tarnishing her image forever. As you may know, Clara Bow, often referred to as the it girl of the silent film era, was one of Hollywood's brightest stars during the 1920s. She became an icon of the Jazz Age, embodying the spirit of the Roaring Twenties with her vivacious energy and liberated attitude. Bow's breakthrough came in 1927 with the film It, where she solidified her status as the quintessential it girl. She was living her dream life, and she probably never thought that anything could jeopardize her career. Little did she know that a scandal would erupt and drown everything she worked hard to build. Throughout the late 1920s, Bow was one of the highest-paid actresses in Hollywood, starring in a string of successful films and captivating audiences with her infectious charm. But while she was accomplishing all these, she had no idea that a deadly scandal was coming her way. Bow's glittering career was marred by scandal in 1928 when her former secretary, Daisy DeVoe, accused Bow and her husband, Rex Bell, of mistreatment, financial exploitation, and so much more. Clara was accused of being involved in group sexual activities with her fellow stars, and so many other things that the public didn't know about. The details of the scandal were sensationalized in the media, tarnishing Bow's image and causing a public relations nightmare for the star. The person Daisy DeVoe was talking about had nothing in common with the female star that people loved and adored. A lot of people couldn't believe the things that the assistant said about Clara Bow. The root of the scandal stemmed from allegations made by DeVoe, who claimed that Bow and Bell had mistreated her and withheld her wages while she worked as Bow's secretary. DeVoe accused Bow of subjecting her to verbal abuse, erratic behavior, and unreasonable demands, painting a picture of a tumultuous working relationship. As expected, the assistant's accusations sparked a highly publicized legal battle that played out in the tabloids, with salacious headlines dominating newspaper coverage. The scandal cast a shadow over Bow's reputation, threatening to derail her career and tarnish her image as America's sweetheart. It was said that the assistant had proof to back up the claims she made against Clara, and soon enough, people began to believe the allegations. Despite Bow's attempts to defend herself and refute DeVoe's claims, the scandal took a toll on her personal and professional life. The negative publicity surrounding the case damaged Bow's standing in Hollywood and eroded public trust in her wholesome image. Ultimately, Bow's reputation never fully recovered from the scandal, and while she continued to work in the film industry, her star began to fade in the early 1930s with the advent of talkies. Though she made several more films, including her first talkie picture, The Wild Party, in 1929, Bow's career never regained its former glory. William Desmond Taylor, a man with many enemies. He was a highly skilled director, one of the best in his time, and he was certainly climbing the ladder of success in the silent era when something strange happened. There was no doubt that William Taylor was an A-list director, but just like many other accomplished filmmakers, Taylor had personal demons. He, too, was secretly interested in younger girls, and this secret obsession with young girls ultimately led to his untimely death. But before his death, William Desmond Taylor had established a solid career in the silent era. In the early years of his career, he adopted the stage name William Desmond Taylor when he began his acting career. While he found some success as an actor, it was his transition into directing that truly solidified his place in Hollywood history. Taylor's directing career began in the early 1910s, and he quickly gained recognition for his skillful storytelling and innovative techniques. He worked with several prominent studios of the time, including Paramount and famous Players Lasky, which later became Paramount Pictures. He quickly grew to become one of the best directors of his time. Taylor's films often explored themes of romance, drama, and mystery, captivating audiences with their compelling narratives and visual style. One of Taylor's most notable works is the 1914 film The Awakening. Beyond his talent behind the camera, Taylor was also known for his role in shaping the careers of aspiring actors and actresses. He had a keen eye for talent and played a significant role in launching the careers of several Hollywood stars, including Mary Pickford and Mary Miles Minter. Interestingly, Minter would become one of the prime suspects when he passed away. It seems like William Taylor had a romantic relationship with this very actress, and both of them were allegedly trying to hide it because of her age. After several years of making a name for himself, William Taylor met his unexpected end in his Los Angeles bungalow. It will surprise you to know that his death was initially reported as a natural death, but upon closer inspection by Lieutenant Tom Ziegler, it was evident that foul play was involved. Taylor was found lying on his living room floor, a bullet lodged in his back, painting a starkly different picture from the initially presumed natural demise. There was nothing natural about his death, but no one knew who pulled the trigger. William Taylor's murder left the industry and the entire nation in shock. Seeing a man who was the epitome of power and influence lifeless in his home was a shocking sight to behold. So many questions were left unanswered. Who would want to take the life of this man who was making waves in the industry? As the investigations were done, new information came to light. It was discovered that William was a man with many enemies. Apparently, his former valet had allegedly burgled his home after getting fired, and he also garnered enemies because of his relationships with younger girls. Complicating matters were the alleged romantic entanglements involving Taylor and several actresses, adding layers of intrigue to the scandal. Mary Miles Minter, a teenage actress, rose to stardom in Taylor's films and developed a romantic attachment to him. However, disapproval from Minter's mother, Charlotte Shelby, cast a shadow over their relationship. It was said that Minter and Charlotte had motives to end Taylor's life. A lover's quarrel could have provoked Minter to take his life, or her mother may have angrily taken his life because he was romantically involved with her young daughter. No one knew for sure who did it. Following Taylor's murder, incriminating evidence emerged, including a love note from Minter to Taylor found in his home, along with her nightgown in his bedroom. Suspicious incidents, such as Minter's prior suicide attempt with a similar gun to the murder weapon, and threats made by Shelby against another director who pursued her daughter, further fueled speculation. Despite mounting evidence, no one was ever prosecuted for Taylor's death, and the case remains officially unsolved. However, years later, revelations from Minter's unpublished autobiography shed new light on the events surrounding Taylor's demise. She confessed to being present at Taylor's bungalow on the night of the murder, implicating her mother in the crime. Till today, Williams's death sends chills down spines.